Hello and welcome to King's update video. One of the most important things when it comes to dog training is going to be our markers, so I'm going to put that on the screen for you. Our markers are words that mean the same thing to the dog every time. Our markers are how we are able to clearly and effectively communicate with our dogs. The first thing we like to do when we get in a new dog is start doing some clicker conditioning. We'll start with just having the dog in our heel position, quick feed, quick feed, quick feed. We're just showing the dog that every single time they hear the sound, they are getting a reward. The reason we like to start with a clicker instead of just using our verbal markers is because the clicker is much more consistent than we can ever be. So our tone, our voice, it changes a lot. The clicker is the same sound every time, so it just really speeds up the learning process. Something that King struggled with a lot was just being straight in his heeling, having his body straight and next to us instead of being like far off to the side, sitting super crooked, super far behind. So for him, we're doing a bunch of luring, a lot of making sure he comes forward and then gets rewarded, and doing lots of direct luring, so having his nose right to the food in our hand so that we can show him exactly where we want him to be. And then we have been incorporating leash and e-collar pressure to help him understand to come forward. So what I'm doing with that is called negative reinforcement. So I'm applying some tap, 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 tap on, either his prong, the slip leash, even the e-collar stem on a low level, and then using food and encouragement to get him into the right position. As soon as he's in that correct position, I mark, and then the pressure relieves, and he gets a reward. So essentially, he's just saying that tapping means I need something from you. And then as soon as it shuts off, he gets rewarded. That way, he's going to start to come into that position a little bit more consciously on his own, because he's always had to fix himself. So all I'm doing right now is just building a reward history. All I'm doing is showing him right here, this spot, this position. This is great. This is where you want to be. I'm not telling him to heel. I'm not doing a bunch of extra walking or anything like that. I'm just using food to get him in that spot and then paying him. We do not name behaviors until the dog is already proficient and understanding of the behavior. At this point, he does not understand the behavior yet. King has been doing great with his place. I know Ashley did a little video for you on this. So I don't require dogs to be in a down. We don't layer commands on place. Place is just the dog's spot for them to chill out. So I'm not going to tell them sit. I'm not going to tell them down. But I do like to only feed when they are in a down to encourage relaxation. Because, if they're standing up on the bed, they're like excitedly looking at you, they're not going to get their reward that way, because I would prefer them to be laying down calm. So sometimes I'll just use some food in my hand to get them into the down and then mark and pay. That's usually what I do at first. So food lure into a down, place. Good, feed, and then remind them place, step away. And then I can throw them distractions from the edge of the bed. And if they stand up, I'm gonna wait till the exact moment they lay down, good. And then I'm gonna go back and reward them. And then once they're proficient in showing me that they understand they should be in a down on place to get the rewards, which King does, then if they don't go into the down, but I want to reward them, I will use some leash pressure into the down. So we do teach leash pressure for a whole bunch of different things. No. So pulling up on the leash means you should be in a sit. Pulling down on the leash means it should be a down. And the way that we teach this is when we're luring these behaviors, we're using the food in our hand to get them into it down, we will use our left hand for the food, and then our right hand will have the leash, and we'll apply some light downwards pressure at the same time. As soon as the dog goes into behavior, the pressure turns off. So now they not only understand us verbally, but they can also understand us physically through the leash. And then once they're doing, good with the leash, then we'll start working on e-collar and e-collar conditioning. So if I were to start doing some e-collar downs, I would apply some light stim, something the dog would hardly feel, maybe depending on the dog, between a 3 and a 6. Starting that low level stim, tap, and then down, tap, tap, tap. And the tapping on the e-collar shuts off as soon as they go into behavior. And if they're struggling and they're not understanding how to turn it off or they're getting stuck, that's where we use the leash pressure to help. So that at this point, if they need some extra guidance and the verbal isn't working, then we have another way that we can help guide them. So coming up, you're about to see an example of a good correction using our no marker. Our rules for place are no barking, no growling, no whining, and all 4 feet on the bed. Any distraction I throw at him is fair game, so long as I'm not using his name.
No, please.
So this is how we effectively communicate with our dogs. As soon as they break a rule, no, to let them know that they broke the rule. They receive consequence, and then we remind them of what rule they broke so that they can not make that decision again. This is how we can clearly communicate what is and isn't allowed.
Please.
And it's important that, I'm correcting him, but I'm not getting mad at him, right? I'm not going, no, I'm not freaking out. He just took a paw off the place bed.
Please.
It's not that serious. I just calmly tell him no, correct him, and then remind him what he should have been doing. And then this change in behavior here, where he stops getting off the bed, shows you that my correction was effective and he understood, and now he can make the right choice and be rewarded. So there I waited him out on the down, and then as soon as he went into it, I used a continuation marker, which is the singular click or good. I do a lot of weird stuff when I'm trying to proof dogs' commands, because as soon as they understand it, then we have to increase our 3Ds. So I can say that he knows place, but does he know place from 50 feet away? Does he know place for 2 hours? Does he know place when there are 3 dogs running around? And it's important to remember that dogs learn in pictures. So when they see one thing somewhere in one context, and then you take them somewhere else and you try to apply it to another context, they might need some help realizing that it is the same behavior. So maybe he can do place for 20 minutes here, and then I take him somewhere super distracting, like a busy parking lot, and then he can only do place for 5 minutes before he breaks. So those are the types of things that we're going to continue working on, and those are going to be the types of things that you're going to want to continue building at home as well. This is sometimes where owners will struggle, because we put in a bunch of work here, we show them a bunch of distractions, we proof it, we're super consistent, and then sometimes the dog goes home and the owners aren't upkeeping those same standards, and they let the dog get away with things. And then this is why you'll start to see dogs that look great with the trainer, and then as soon as you try to work with them, you notice them struggling. As long as you are using your positive reinforcement, using your markers clearly, your timing is good, all of those things, you will be able to do these same things. Place is one of our favorite commands to work on early, because it's very nice for showing the dog these markers. So there isn't a large gray area. Their feet are either entirely on the bed or they're not. Versus, heeling, they could be a little bit forward, they could be a little bit backwards, a bunch of stuff like that. So this way we're very clearly able to tell him no as soon as he steps off, correct him, fix him. Us following through with our markers is how we get a very consistently reliable dog. So if every time I say no, it's followed up by consequence, he's going to be very unlikely to keep trying. if every time he's doing the right thing, I tell him good and then I feed him, the word good is now always going to have meaning to him.
His toe, just one toe. Kennel.
A very important thing to note is that we do not teach a stay. The word stay is very hard to train when it means so many different things. Because if you're trying to teach stay, you have to be like, oh, stay means down, stay means heel, it means all of these things. And that is not really fair to the dog. So all of our commands have an implied stay. So heel is heel until told otherwise, down is down until told otherwise, and like you are seeing here, kennel means kennel until told otherwise. So we don't want dogs that bust out of kennels, that are always going to run and try to escape. So I tell him kennel, I open the door, he is expected to stay inside of that kennel. If he tries to come out and I do not have a collar on him yet, I will tell him no, and I will close the door and let him try again. I am a huge fan of resetting dogs and having them try again. So if we are healing past a super difficult distraction and I come to a stop and the dog doesn't sit and they keep moving forward, I'm going to say no, correct them, remind them heel, get them back into position, and then I'm actually going to walk backwards from where we came from, and then I'm going to reset up the entire situation again. I'm going to leave and then I'm going to heel up to that same spot. I'm going to stop in that same exact spot. If they fail, I will repeat the same thing. If they are successful, I will reward them. I think a big problem is that sometimes dogs will mess up and owners will correct it and then still make forward progress. Forward progress, moving, doing things is important to a lot of dogs. So sometimes, removing that and taking steps backward is enough to make them think more. So the way we start our recalls is very simple. Dog on leash, food in our hands. For him, we've been using beef liver to make it extra exciting. While he's out in front of me looking at something, I'm gonna go king and then book it backwards. As soon as he turns around to me, I'm going to reward him. And then as the dog is getting proficient at turning around on their name, we're gonna start to add a lured flip into heel, which is what you see here. So he comes back and then I have to help him get into heel position.
No. King. Good. Good. Yes.
The reason I'm throwing pine cones and such is because he was not leaving me alone because he wanted the beef liver. So I had to throw something to give him a distraction so that I could recall him. And as you can see, I have him off leash in this session, so I'm working on some e-collar. I would say he's probably on like somewhere between a 7 and a 10 here. So for the recall, what I'm doing is starting some stim. He doesn't quite understand. I call him back. He returns, the stim shuts off, and he gets rewarded. So this way he's feeling that feeling. He's not quite sure what it means. He's responsive to his obedience, and then it turns off. So the dog is learning that they are in control of this feeling before it ever becomes aversive. Notice there are 2 ways to free him from behavior. One of them is using a terminal marker, so yes or double click. Your terminal marker means that was exactly right. You are getting a reward and you are free to leave position. So typically if I'm doing a yes reward, I will yes, and I will move backwards and pay them that way. And then the other way is free. Free means free from behavior, no reward, you're allowed to leave. I like to use free for behaviors I would like to build stability in. So say you're working on place. You don't want place to be a super exciting, fun, wild thing, right? Where they're busting off the bed all excited because you were like, yes, because that's a very exciting marker. So I like to use that more when we're working on our healing and he comes to a beautiful sit because that's something that he's been struggling with. So if he does good with that, yes. It's like a little party,
Yes.
because not only are they getting a reward, but they are also getting to do a little bit of food chase. They're allowed to come out of position, run around, chase the food in my hand a little bit, maybe get some petting and praise.
No. Heel.
So at this point here, he's not super proficient in turning it on and off. So what I'm doing is, as we're healing, if he starts to come out of position, I tap, tap, tap on that e-collar until he comes back in position, and then it stops. So he's seeing that if he's healing and he starts feeling stim, he knows how to control it.
Heel.
Alright, here we are working our sit stays. So with all of our behaviors where he's staying and I'm leaving, you'll notice that I'm always stepping off with my right foot, whether it sits, downs, or place. These dogs do a lot of healing, and they are very used to seeing our left leg moving and them moving with us. So every time before I leave, I remind him, sit, and then I step away with my right foot.
Sit. Sit. No. Sit. 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 Sit.
The important thing here with these sit stays is that if he gets up, I'm putting him back in the same exact spot he was in. Sometimes dogs will break the commands to try and come see us, and then people will down them super close to them. It's like, yeah, it kind of works, but now they're getting what they want because they get to come closer to you. So I put them back all the way.
Oh, puppy, puppy. Free. Yeah, buddy.
King! Good. Free. Free. King. Good. Good. Free. Heel. No. King. Heel. Good. Heel. Heel. No. Heel. Good.